The research that would be presented was funded by a grant from Weber State University's Office of Undergraduate Research. This presentation will highlight the research conducted on the contributions of Japanese American women to the United States war effort of World War II in Hawaii. Prior to December 7, 1941, the Japanese population in the Hawaiian Islands was nearly 40% of the total population. The Japanese civilian population that day, their casualties were 23 of the 48. And that was the single largest loss of civilian life and greater than any other ethnic group, and even greater than all the ethnic groups combined. And less than 1% of the Japanese population in the Hawaiian Islands was interned. Going forward, I will review some of the ways in which the Issei, first generation, and Nisei, second generation Japanese people demonstrated their loyalty to the United States of America, including their military contributions, their economic contributions, and social contributions. The women of the Women's Army Corps served in integrated units in the United States Army, serving as nurses, interpreters, in administrative positions, just to name a few. And of the women who joined and enlisted in the Army in the Hawaiian Islands, almost half of those women were Americans of Japanese ancestry. And the major motivation for these women was their desire to demonstrate their patriotism as American citizens and prove their loyalty to the United States. In addition to serving in the military, women also made major contributions to war bond drives there on the islands, war bond purchasing and fundraising for various organizations as well. Pictured at the bottom right are high school students Audrey Okuda and Jean Kawamura, who raised $350,000 to purchase a bomber for the United States military. At the university level, students helped raise funds for the Red Cross and also helped put on bond drives. Hawaii had the highest per capita contribution to the war bond drives in the entire country, state, or territory. And much of this success can be attributed to the efforts of these young women, these Japanese American young women. The following are images of young women, Nisei women, and some young men participating in a fundraising drive for the American Red Cross. The women of Japanese ancestry in Hawaii made up more than half of the Honolulu candy factory workers. This factory, most of the candy went to Navy and Army personnel, and they were also more than half of the island's government and military civilian employees. These were Issei as well as Nisei women, and they worked on and off military installations. They did bookkeeping, they did administrative work, they worked as store clerks, and again worked in the factories to keep the economy moving. In the image on the right, we have a woman of Japanese descent working at one of the post exchanges. And on the top left, we have a woman working as a barber for GIs. In the left center is a young woman who's receiving an award for her contributions to the administrative department she works in, having streamlined their work process more effectively. And on the bottom is an example of two women working in a non-government office. These women work to maintain the administrative necessities of the sugar plantations that we will discuss later on. The pineapple seen in the images previously from the factories often came right from the plantations there on the islands, and these plantations, as well as the local farms, most of which were owned by people of Japanese ancestry and operated by them as well. These were integral and critical to the food supply of the islands and for the American military. The image on the left is a picture of a local girl named Betty Higa, who helped drive tractor on her father's farm, and she, like so many other Nisei young women and their mothers, helped to entertain thousands of U.S. service members, Army, Navy, Marines, in their homes over the course of the war. These are some images from the pineapple plantations during the war years, being worked by school-age girls who volunteered to work the plantations once a week during the school year, and they often worked them all summer while school was out. These plantations were vital to maintaining the island's food supply, and the sugar plantations were especially important to the United States military during the time. John A. Rademaker, author of the book These Are Americans, even credited them with saving the plantations. Their labor was so needed and so vital to the survival of the crops. The Japanese American women of the Hawaiian Islands participated in a multitude of service organizations to include the YMCA, the YWCA, the Women's War Service Association, the R.C.T, and several others. In these organizations, they helped with sewing things for the local hospitals like gowns, and mending things like sheets, and they even visited hospitals and recovering GIs there on the islands, and they helped to sew bunny masks, gas masks for babies for the OCD, and they made vital contributions financially and otherwise to the Red Cross, notably making slippers for the GIs recovering in the local hospitals. They knit gloves and sweaters and socks for the service members as well. And their major goal here was, again, to promote the war effort. For America to be successful in this war, they were willing to do whatever needed to be done. Another aspect of these Japanese American women's contributions to the war effort is the sacrifices they made when they sent their sons and brothers and husbands off to war in the 442nd Regimental Combat Team and the 100th Battalion, and an even greater sacrifice was made when those young men didn't return home and were killed in action. A Major Blake, who was stationed on Oahu at the time, said to some members of the families of these fallen servicemen that the supreme gift or test of loyalty is offering one's life for the life of a loved one. And I think of all of their contributions to the war effort, that was probably the greatest, and it stands to be remembered, and it is a contribution that, again, played a major role in the success of the American military during the war. These women were Japanese Americans. These women were patriots.